In China, for 2,000 years, his name has been another word for genius. A man who could defeat armies without a single soldier. A scholar who could command the weather. A loyal servant who became a legend. But was he a man or a myth? This is the story of Zhuge Liang, the sleeping dragon. The year is 207 AD. The great Han dynasty, which had ruled for 4 centuries, was dead. In its place was chaos. Ruthless warlords carved up the land, fighting endless, brutal wars for supremacy. The people suffered immensely under the weight of tyranny and constant conflict. In this dark time, a virtuous but struggling leader named Liu Bei, a distant relative of the deposed imperial family, dreamed of restoring the Han and bringing peace to the land. But he was weak, and his enemies were strong. He needed a miracle. He needed a dragon. It was said that in the hills of Longzhong lived a brilliant young scholar known as the Sleeping Dragon. His name was Zhuge Liang. While the world burned, he lived a life of quiet study, content to farm his small plot of land and discuss politics. With his friends, he saw the state of the world with perfect clarity, but refused to offer his services to any of the ambitious warlords, whom he saw as self-serving and unworthy. He was waiting for a leader with true virtue, a master worthy of his loyalty. Hearing of this genius, Liu Bei traveled to seek his counsel. He was turned away twice. On his 3rd visit, in the dead of winter, he was told the master was sleeping. Liu Bei's sworn brothers grew impatient, but Liu Bei ordered them to wait. Standing for hours in the freezing snow until Zhuge Liang awoke, this profound display of humility and sincerity finally convinced the sleeping dragon he had found the master he was looking for. Before even agreeing to join, Zhuge Liang laid out his vision for the next 30 years. He presented the Longzhong Plan, a brilliant geopolitical strategy. He advised Liu Bei to seize the fertile lands of the west and south to form a secure base, then to ally with the southern power of Sun Quan to resist the mighty northern warlord, Cao Cao. It was a clear, audacious plan for dividing the empire into 3 kingdoms, and then, one day, conquering it. Liu Bei knew he had found his miracle. His legend began to grow at the Battle of Red Cliffs. The Allied fleet needed a southeasterly wind to launch their fire attack against Cao Cao's navy, but the wind was blowing from the northwest. Zhuge Liang famously promised to borrow the east wind from the heavens. He performed a public ritual, and for 3 days, nothing happened. Then, just as predicted, the winds shifted. Was it magic, or was Zhuge Liang simply a master of meteorology, using his knowledge to create an aura of supernatural power? With him, it was often hard to tell. With the wind at their backs, the fire attack was a spectacular success. Cao Cao's fleet, which he had chained together to prevent his northern soldiers from getting seasick, became a death trap. The fire spread from ship to ship, and his mighty navy was annihilated. The invincible Cao Cao was defeated and forced to retreat north. The Longzhong Plan was now in motion. Zhuge Liang had saved the south and secured Liu Bei's future. To secure Liu Bei's southern flank, Zhuge Liang led a campaign against the rebellious Nanman tribes. Their leader Meng Huo was a fierce and proud warrior. Zhuge Liang defeated and captured him, but instead of executing him, he set him free. He did this again and again. In total, he captured and released Meng Huo 7 times. By the 7th time, Meng Huo was so moved by Zhuge Liang's magnanimity that he swore eternal loyalty. Zhuge Liang knew that true, lasting victory came not from conquering a people, but from winning their hearts. But his most legendary moment came when he was cornered. With his main army away, his rival Sima Yi advanced on his position with an overwhelming force. Zhuge Liang had only a handful of officials in a small, empty fort. Instead of fleeing, he ordered the gates thrown open and had servants sweep the entrance while he calmly played his lute atop the wall. Sima Yi, knowing Zhuge Liang's reputation for cunning traps, was terrified. He believed it was an ambush and ordered a full retreat. Zhuge Liang had defeated an entire army with nothing but his reputation. After Liu Bei's death, Zhuge Liang's mission changed. It was no longer about strategy. It was about a sacred promise to his dying lord to restore the Han dynasty. He became the regent for the young emperor and the de facto ruler of the state. Of Shuhan, he devoted the rest of his life to a series of grueling military campaigns against a powerful northern state of Wei. Northern expeditions. It was his life's final, all-consuming purpose. The greatest challenge of the northern expeditions was logistics. To move food through the treacherous mountain passes, Zhuge Liang, the strategist, became Zhuge Liang, the inventor. He is credited with creating the repeating crossbow, a weapon that could fire bolts in rapid succession, and most famously, the wooden oxen and flowing horses, ingenious, single-wheeled supply carts that could be pushed and pulled over difficult terrain, keeping his army fed where no other army could survive. His genius extended beyond the battlefield. When his army was halted by a swollen river, local customs demanded a sacrifice of 49 human heads to appease the river god. Unwilling to sacrifice his own men, Zhuge Liang ordered 49 large steamed bonds to be made, shaped like heads and stuffed with meat. He threw them into the river as a symbolic sacrifice. The river calmed and his army crossed. Even the gods, it seemed, could not outwit the sleeping dragon. In these final campaigns, Zhuge Liang met his ultimate rival, the brilliant and endlessly patient Wei commander, Sima Yi. Sima Yi knew he could not defeat Zhuge Liang in a battle of wits or strategy, so he chose a different approach. He would not fight. He would simply wait. He knew Zhuge Liang was operating at the end of a long supply line, and he knew that the great strategist was a mortal man, growing older and weaker with each campaign. Sima Yi's strategy was to let time be his weapon. The final northern expedition took its toll. Now old and gravely ill, Zhuge Liang knew his time was running out. He led his army deep into enemy territory, setting up camp at the Wujiang Plains for one last, decisive confrontation with Sima Yi. But Sima Yi refused to engage, hiding behind his fortifications. It became a race against time. Could Zhuge Liang force a battle before his body gave out? He could not. In the autumn of 234 AD, Zhuge Liang died in his tent. Legend says that on that night, a great star fell from the sky. But even in death, his genius served his army one last time. As his forces retreated, Sima Yi pursued. The Shu army then turned a chariot around, revealing a lifelike wooden statue of Zhuge Liang. The Wei soldiers, terrified that he had faked his own death, panicked and fled. A saying was born: a dead Zhuge scares away a living Sima. His final act was his greatest bluff. Zhuge Liang did not succeed in restoring the Han dynasty, but he succeeded in creating a legend. He built a kingdom that, for a time, embodied the ideals of loyalty and righteous governance. He became the ultimate archetype of the wise advisor. In East Asian culture, a symbol of intelligence so profound it bordered on the divine. Though his body died on the Wujiang Plains, his spirit, the spirit of the sleeping dragon, lives on forever in the heart of China.